Hi, and welcome to my first What If. If you're wondering why it sounds like I'm tired and stuff, and I have a gravelly voice and I'm talking really low, it's because let me see, I forget, never mind. It's like 11 p.m. or something like that. I'm bored. I can go to sleep right now, but I was kind of thinking of a better way to do my previous What If that I have now deleted. Sorry, you the six people that watched it. Probably one of my that one follower. Anyway, if you are seeing this, you either scrolled really far down or somehow this has reached an amount of likes and views that it's the first thing that pops up. Interesting. Anyway, uh, you already know what type of what if this is. It's what if Izuku Midori was Iron Man, part 1. Now, Izuku's going to be smart, like Tony Stark type of smart. Um, when he unlocks his quirk, kind of they kind of don't know what it is really, because even though there are creation quirks, there's never been something like this until the doctor doesn't know if he wants to steal it or not, because his master doesn't really have any reason to have a creation quirk, so he just leaves it alone. And so he goes back to school the next day and he tells everybody he's got a quirk, but the doctor doesn't know what it is because it's a new type of quirk. They're like, wow, really? And Bakugo's like, it's probably not as good as mine. Actually, no, he's not even in the same school as Bakugo because his family's rich. Or, no, they're actually not. Never mind. I don't want to do that. And so you might be wondering, what type of quirk does Izuku have that's a creation quirk? Is it something like Momo's? No. I mean, kind of. It's a nanobot quirk, meaning that, you know the nanobots from Infinity War and Endgame that made the suit and stuff? Like that. And so, in his world, there are a type of superhero movies from way back when, like, for them, like, 2000s and stuff, like 2006 is, I don't even know how long ago it is for them. But anyway, so he finds out about a hero named Iron Man in that, and he's like, wow, that could be my hero name. And he looks at all this stuff from everything, and he's like, holy crap, my quirk can actually help me make this stuff. And he's like, but how am I supposed to launch it into atmosphere? Won't I get in trouble? And then he has an idea. Because he's so smart, he knows that if it's small enough, it won't be able to detect it, like the radars and stuff. So he slowly learns how to make stuff over time. Bakugo doesn't bully him because after a while, Deku started making some armor to protect himself. It's nothing like the Iron Man armor, it's more of like a medieval knight armor because that's the only thing he thought of because he was at that stage of being a kid where he liked knights. We were all there, don't say you weren't. Sorry if I'm sniffling. I don't have a cold or anything. It's just that, I mean, I probably do, but whatever. Um, he's slowly sending up these pieces, and it's what he's making is Edith, really. And so he sends up every single last piece, and it's in orbit, far enough away from the satellites and stuff that it can't be picked up from radars. And so what it does is it starts to take the debris around Earth's atmosphere because there is stuff around it, and it uses that to make the drones, the Edith drones. And so Zuku makes, let's say, an earpiece instead of glasses to control them. Actually, yeah, he does. And it kind of looks like a hearing aid, and his cover up is that when Bakugo was bullying him, he accidentally shot a blast too close to his ear and he kind of lost his hearing. He kind of did, but that's also a cover up for why he is always wearing it. Yeah, I'm recording this on my bed right now. Ooh. Anyway, and so we're gonna time skip. Zuko started working on type of self-defense. He's now able to make a shield on his arm and little projectiles. Like he can make any type of material out of his nanobots. Like it could be flexible, it could be solid. It can't be liquid. Not yet. But when the stuff is being created, it looks liquid, but it's not. It's just that because they're nanobots, it looks like they're just, you know, waves of metal. And so we're gonna time skip and just around the end of middle school, and everybody's seen Izuku's quirk. They know that he could be a good support hero on there. And Bakugo's like, yeah, he could, but I still don't think he could become a real hero, like a fully fledged All Might type of hero. And Izuku's saying, yeah, I definitely could. Have you ever read the comic books and stuff about Iron Man? Well, I'm going to be him. Now, nobody actually had because they were so outdated. There weren't really that many left, just some on the wide web. And so, you know, some kids go home and they're searching it up and they're like, oh, yeah, that's a cool idea. But, you know, the same thing happens except Izuku actually, uh, Izuku wasn't prepared for the sludge villain, but he had stuff just in case something like this would happen, or somebody that had a power like this would happen. And he knows that slime is made out of certain elements and materials, even if it's a power that makes it flammable and that could hurt the user. And so what he does is he makes a gauntlet, a backpack, and I know this is going to sound really weird. I don't really have an explanation for how, but he's able to make the gas that creates the flames, the nitrogen. And so somehow he does that. I don't know how he does. I'm just gonna say that he had some extra and he just had some in his backpack or something like that. And he just starts blasting away and the sludge villain's like getting burned and stuff and is just crawling back. And All Might jumps out, catches the villain. Izuku puts away his gauntlet and everything because it could go. It's like the extremist armor from the comic books. It comes out of his skin, but it could go back, but it won't hurt him, unlike the extremist one in the book, um, comic book. I might stop this probably um after the heroes versus villains or something like that. I'll just say when I stop anyway. And so Zuko already knows that he's going to be a hero, so he doesn't need All Might's approval. So All Might just jumps off. Um, and so the bottle does fall out. I'm just going to say that the bottle does fall out. There was a hole in All Might's pants from a previous fight that he had, and so Bakugo still gets captured, and Zuko still finds out just from the big explosion. Runs over there, and he is like, I know this is a prototype, but that's my friend over there. And so, in an alleyway, like he's Batman or Superman or something, or Spider-Man like that, he puts on his full armor. Now, it doesn't have any color, so it just looks like the Mark II. And don't be confused with the Mark II that some little kids know about. That's the, red and gold one. That's Mark III. And practically every other model except for a few. But anyway, Mark II is just completely silver. Looks like all the other ones, just silver with bolts. And he puts that on. And it still has the same problem. It's bad in high atmospheres, and that's it. Everything else is good. So he rockets out, he uses the flamethrower on the sludge villain, grabs Bakugo, rockets off, and because of the flames, the sludge villain can't, because of the flames from the boots, when he flies off, the sludge villain can't really grab him because he just burns him. And so he lands right next to some citizens, puts Bakugo down, and then, you know, let's just say one of the heroes had a fire quirk that needed them to have gigantic packs of nitrogen on them because when they snapped, it was like them making it was like flint and steel, and so that would allow it to create a flame. That's it. That's the only way he was able to do it. And so Izuku asks for the hero to give him one of the packs, and the hero reluctantly agrees and throws it over to Izuku. Izuku catches it, puts it on his back, connects some tubes to it, and then just goes like batshit crazy on it. He's just he's just flinging his arms around all over the place and just burning the sludge villain. And by the time that the pack's out, there's barely any of the sludge villain left. It's about the size of a basketball. That's it. And so All Might swoops in, picks up the sludge villain, puts him in a container, and says, "Nice work, nice work, new hero." And Izuku says, "Oh wait, I think he remembers that he's most likely going to go to jail if he says it. He's like, "Thanks, All Might." And so, right when All Might starts talking to the press, Izuku like flies off without anybody. I mean, before he does that, the reporters ask him, "What's your name, hero?" And Izuku says, because he still wants to use Iron Man as his hero name, he has to come up with a vigilante name, and he calls himself the Ironmonger, just because I'm not gonna add him as a villain anyway, so why not? And so the people are like, well, there you have it. One of the newest heroes to help All Might this year is named Ironmonger. If you see him, make sure you. Actually, no, they don't say that. Just say, well, there you have it. The newest hero to Japan's. Uh, she just says, there we have it. One of Japan's newest heroes, Ironmonger. We can already tell that he might become a pro hero. Now Bakugo knows this is Izuku because nobody else that he knows of has has a smart enough brain and a type of quirk that can make that. Oh Jesus! I gotta sneeze and yawn. Seems like the sneeze went away and the yawn came in anyway. Now, Bakugo tries to confront him, but he gets caught up with All Might talking, so he never really gets a chance. And so it's the break and stuff, and Izuku's sending more stuff into space, satellites and everything to kind of survey and watch out for villains and tell the police and stuff. He's like he's like a black market dealer of newest villains on the street, and he only sells to the police. Now, Izuku does want to make some money, and so he does start making like some weapons because he can, and he starts selling them on the black market. He meets up with them, he sells them, he gets the money, he he hops out, and he needed somebody, and he started having people ask for them that were farther away, so he had to kind of be in two places at once, and so he decided to start um, making drones or robots that looked human, that always had like a hood on it and gloves, so that you didn't know, like a mask and stuff, so that you didn't know they were a robot. They barely made any of those like type of sounds when they moved, so they could almost completely sounded like they were sounded and moved like they were humans. That's what Izuku wanted, and so yeah, he's running a big business, and I just want to do this just because. This isn't going to turn into an army type of one. This is going to be, wait, holy crap. So that's what it's gonna be. Okay, I just got an idea for an army one. If you watch one of my other videos explaining what I'm gonna do, you know it might not come until next week because I'm still waiting for some people to tell me what the app is. But anyway, yeah. Um. So Izuku's mom sadly dies in an accident, and he doesn't want. He feels regret, so he stays in his room for a few months, um, during the summer vacation and stuff until they're able to, go to the schools and take their acceptance type of test. And so, jeez, it's damn. It is late enough for me to be yawning left and right. Jesus. Anyway, Izuku can't really meet ends meet in a regular job, so he just starts selling the guns and stuff, and he doesn't want it to seem sketchy with him, in the house. So he makes a car. He makes a legit like van or car type of thing. He puts the stuff that he needs, essentials and everything, in the back, and he has a robot drive him to like an open part in the forest that nobody goes to. Like nobody will buy up. The rich people are like, no, we don't want that. There's nothing good there and stuff. And Izuku doesn't need really any materials. Like if he wanted to, it will take a long time, but he could make an army of robots. I'm not gonna make him do that, but still. Um. Anyway, so Izuku starts setting up a base, and he he's going to have some type of militia of a robot army. Okay, this isn't going to be an army. What if he'll still have? That'll still be a separate thing and everything, but this will be. But like I said, this is a Iron Man one. So Izuku sets up the base. It's pretty big and it goes underground and stuff. And so and so because he wants to make sure that nobody um is kind of messing up any of his plans and nobody really starts moving into the forest, he sets up like a gigantic like wall barrier around his base, and it's pretty big. Like it goes really far. And so to also keep his other things kind of safe, because he did have some warehouses that he rented out that he now fully owns. He has remodeled them, and he has guards on the inside 24/7 because they're robots, and they have pretty powerful weapons, like one-shot type of things, no matter where it is. And so Izuku is like pretty rich. Nobody really knows that he is. And so we're going to get to the entrance exam now. He is incredibly smart, gotta say. And in the time period, he trained and stuff, and he started working on a new Iron Man suit. It's going to look like the first one had more of a flat, like a more of a sleek look. It didn't have a mouth or anything. It wasn't supposed to open and stuff. This new one is, because he wants to reassure people that they're safe and that a human's saving them, because even though he is selling black market weapons on the black market, he's also selling some robots to the police and stuff so that, they don't have to risk their lives. And they're not easily hacked either, so any like villain with a hacking quirk won't be able to hack it. And so anyway, it's the entrance exam. He is driven to the place by one of the robots, and he walks in, he goes, sits down, and he hasn't really talked to Bakugo or anything, and Bakugo's almost completely forgotten about him because of his situation and talking with All Might. Now, he's not going to get, Bakugo's not going to get the quirk, Azuka's not going to get the quirk. Um, Mirio could potentially get the quirk. The only reason why I'm not really probably going to give it to him is when people say, "Oh yeah, Mirio could definitely have the quirk." When you get so people don't understand the premise of One for All. Okay, some people don't. Some of you guys might, but some people don't. All for One isn't just a strength enhancer and stuff. It enhances your quirk a lot. Like if it was given to Todoroki, this is what Alma said. If it was given to Todoroki, he would be unstoppable. Like even All for One might not be able to stop him. That's how powerful Todoroki would be with his quirk. The only reason Mirio wouldn't is because he trained his entire life just to get control on his quirk. Now having a new bar set even higher means that he's going to have to practically relearn his entire, quirk because he can't, just get it and be like, oh yeah, I could do all this stuff now. He can't. It wasn't like that for Izuku. It wasn't just because he didn't have a quirk. It was because it was new for his body. He didn't know what to do with it. Same thing for Mirio. So I might not be giving it to Mirio. I'm not really going to say who. It's going to be a big secret until like the sports festival. Yeah. So anyway, we're almost like 30 minutes in, so I'm gonna get this done. We're going to probably go up to the heroes versus villains thing. So Izuku passes. He's the top. Nobody can beat him. Not at all. Not a chance. The people behind him are Momo, and behind that is Shosho. Now it's time for the physical, the one with the robots. Now, these teachers sadly underestimated Midori. They were like, oh yeah, this kid's just got like a creation thing. It's gonna be good for the support class. Oh god, are they wrong? So, I'm gonna give you a rundown on how horribly devastating it was for the teachers to watch all their money go to waste as Izuku decimates the robots. So everything's the same. The doors open. President Mike says, "Hey, go, go, go!" No, there is no starting. There is no, start of a for. He just says the same thing. I forget. I haven't watched the show in a bit. Anyway, they run off. Izuku turns into his Iron Man suit. Never mind. The first suit that he turned into when he was saving Bakugo, it looked like the first one. This one, it's red and gold, like the new one in Endgame, but it's more sleek. There is no mouth. There really aren't no creases. It's completely smooth. So he rockets off, and he starts shooting rockets, and they just start blowing up uh, robots left and right, and he just decimates them. He's faster than Ida. He's blowing them up left and right, and Ida gets close to him, makes swords and stuff, and he just cuts them. And we're going to do a little bit of a time skip to when the zero pointer comes in and Uraraka is stuck under the rubble. What he does is he creates a drone, he tells it to go save Uraraka, it goes, and then with all of his strength and the amount of time it takes for him to get there, he starts making the Hulk Buster on him. And it has more of a fleshed out type of humanish form with, like, it's how the Ironmonger looked. But actually, yeah, it's like that, but more of a Hulk Buster, no pistons and stuff. out. It's just like a humanoid. It's just a more humanoid version of a Hulkbuster. It's got more of a head profile. And so Zuko rockets up the robot and he lands on the head and he aims down with both the blasters. And we didn't really see the full power of it in Age of Ultron, Endgame, or Infinity War. No, it wasn't an Endgame. It was never mind. It wasn't an Endgame. It was though in Infinity War. We didn't really see its full power because either it was getting mauled to death or Hulk was mauling it to death. And so what Izuku does is he uses its full power because he could just ditch it, and he blasts a hole straight down, like where its spine would be, and it just starts blowing up, and Izuku just jumps off, does a superhero landing, and looks like a complete badass. And so he starts walking away, and the drone picks up Uraraka and brings her over to Recovery Girl, and then the robot just poof, like whatever Izuku doesn't want, to be like whatever he makes and he doesn't want to have bring back into him, he just has it disappear. Like it doesn't poof out of existence, it just slowly decays. And if any of them try to kind of take it and sample it and try to see how it's made, it won't work. It legit is just dust then. It makes itself dust and then just flies away. It just becomes dust, that's it. It's like Thanos snapped it. Anyway, uh, President Mike says, and that's it for the entrance exam. Thank all you, thank all you kids for coming and trying out. We will send you your acceptance notice in a week. So rock out. I think I actually just did a really good representation of him. Anyway, some kids tried to talk to Izuku. Izuku says, I don't have time. He rockets off. He doesn't go to the car or anything. He goes straight to the base because he doesn't really care because something happened and he knows it. And he brings up a type of database of all of the places where his shipments are, and he sees it. One of his stashes has been hit. It wasn't a big one, but it had weapons and a lot, some that were supposed to be slowly distributed. And he did have some video recordings of it, and he sees that it was the Yakuza. And he knows why, because they've kind of been a competition with each other. And nobody really knows what to call Izuku's thing, so they just call them the Metal Death. Because whenever you see them, you know that one of two things are going to happen. One, there's either a trade going on, like a deal, or somebody's about to die. And, excuse me, and whenever they're over, all the people that are able to see that the team that wins is always just, Metal Death, and they just started calling them that because whenever they got shot, all you heard was ping, like they were made out of metal, and all they did was either bring death because Tony Stark was called the Merchant of Death because he sold weapons. Same thing with Izuku. He's also called the Merchant of Death, and um his robot guys are kind of called the Horsemen. Just like how Death is kind of like the leader of the Horsemen, he's like the leader of all these robots. So yeah, but yeah, the group's just called Metal Death. Pretty cool, right? Songs IG and stuff, whatever. He really knows he's gonna accept it because nobody else really got as many points as he did. So he calls up the Yakuza and say, "Hey, what's up, man?" And they're like, "Oh, hey, um, Merchant of Death," because nobody really knows his real name. They just call him that. "How are you? How are you?" He's like, yeah, I'm kind of good. I am pissed." They're like, Why?" Because they are kind of good friends because of their business. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know why, or if you really are just playing dumb with me, but I saw the recordings of one of my warehouses that was hit, and it clearly showed you guys, the Yakuza, breaking in, cutting my cutting my men in half, stealing my shipments, and then driving off." And he's like, "There's no way it was them. It must be somebody else." And he's like, "I saw your logo on the van and on their shirts. I don't know why you started to do that, but I saw it. I know it was you. Now either tell me that somehow a little faction of your thing has broken off, or you broke our deal." Now, Izuku's got to deal with like every type of gang in the area because they are scared of him because of his power and what they'll do to him and what he'll do to them if they do anything bad. And so they know not to mess with him. So whenever he makes a deal with them, they're always quick to agree because they don't want to upset him and see what happens. And so Yakuza kind of poked the bear with a two-shooter with stick, and he's about to get mauled. And so he's like, do your. I'm just gonna do it in a Russianish accent because that's the only thing that I can think of. He's like, "Do your worst. There is nothing a little man like you could do to us. We got your weapons. We've seen your men. They are made of metal. They are not true humans. They do not stand us now. We are making your weapons. We are making them better." And all Izuku says is, "Those aren't my weapons. Those are duds. All you did was confirm that you have broken our deal. You signed your own death warrant. If I ask any of these other gangs to help me, they'll gladly do it. They want to take your spot, man. And I'll let them." And so he's like, "Oh crap, I've made the wrong decision." And he starts saying, "Merchant?" They just call him MD because Merchant of Death. They just call him Moth actually. Moth. Moth, please give me a second chance. I did not mean to. You had your second chance. It was when you picked up the phone. So, this can go one of two ways. One, you just destroy your entire supply of them. Or two, I bust down your doors and I burn it down for you." Now he is scared, like scared. And so he's like, okay, I'll burn it down. But please do not come here, because I do not want anything to look so suspicious. And Izuku says, "I bet it was just suspicious when a few white vans pulled up to your front door, taking out boxes and putting them into your house. And if I find one weapon or even prototype of your new weapons out there, I will personally cut off your head with your own sword. Do you hear me?" And he's like, yes, sir. Yes, I do." And then all you can hear is him muffled because he put his phone. You know what parents do whenever they're talking on the phone and they start talking to you, they just put it up against them. All you hear is, "Start burning everything down. Blow up all of them." And they're like, why? And he's like, love just called. And if we do not do this, he will kill us all. And all you hear is just scattering because they all know what happened. It's happened to a gang before, and all he sent were just 5 of his guys to a group of 100 massacred. I tell you, they were all massacred, and that was that was a part of the Yakuza. They actually started making quirk racing bullets early, but because of Izuka, they kind of stopped. But once the other guy comes into the picture, uh, overall, overhaul, yeah, overhaul. Once he comes into the picture, it will start production. He's not as afraid of Izuku's man, but he still knows that he's a man to not be reckoned with. So he's not going to really poke the bear as his previous leader did. And so the League of Villains have actually been picking up some of this stuff. They're like, man, we gotta have him join our group. And everyone's like, no, those are just measly gangs. We have no right. They have no right to be a part of us. And Shigaraki's like, but master, he's selling these weapons. They're destructive as they're as destructive as an All Might punch. And that caught all for one's attention. He's like, oh really? Hmm. Then maybe we will be having a little talk with them. Now this is where I leave it off at. It's like almost